Hey, it's Troy from the Advisory Deck, and we're back here at Ambra Spirits in Thebarton in Adelaide. And we're going to have a conversation with Nando Focareta, the owner. 10 months since we first spoke to Nando when they just launched their new range of gins. And we're going to have a talk about what's changed, how the market and the business and the brand has evolved, and how they're dealing with and planning for the market ahead. It's going to be... Welcome to the Advisory Deck on location here in Thebarton in Adelaide, here at a wonderful place. I'm joined, of course, by James. How are you, James?
I'm pretty relaxed now after having a sip of what Nando's just concocted, so we can maybe talk about that later on. It's beautiful.
We certainly can.
I'm just going to sit back now and watch what you guys talk about, I think.
Well, no, you've got to do some heavy lifting. We are here at Ambra Spirits, a place where we were 10 months ago when we spent some time with the owner, co-owner of Ambra Spirits, Nando Focareta. How are you, Nando?
Wonderful, Troy. Thank you for coming back to Ambra again.
Good. No, thank you for having us. We were remarking on how quick the time flies and how much changes in a fairly short space of time, because when we were here with you 10 months ago, I suppose we were just starting to come out of the first signs of COVID restrictions, but still quite restricted.
In South Australia, Melbourne, where...
And here we are on a day that, there's more kind of bubbling away there. But you had a smaller cellar door footprint, and we had a very different backdrop behind us then. Now we have this amazing piece of kit behind us, and Nando was telling us this is Frank. So we've got Sophia, the beautiful little mobile spirits bar, and this is Frank, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, Troy. Absolutely, this is Frank.
So we thought we'd come in and have a conversation with Nando to get a bit of an update on what's changing, how some of the business decisions that Nando and Peppy and the business have been making over the past sort of 10 months have been panning out. And at the time, they just launched their 3 gins and wanted to sort of see how things were going. So, Nando, since we saw you last, a fair bit of change here, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, welcome guys, James and Troy, thanks for coming back, and welcome to everyone else that's watching today. Yeah, so 10 months ago in July, it was pretty dark days for most businesses because of coming out of COVID or still in COVID, and you know, what do we do? Where are we going? What's the future? And our chat was back then was about, you know, we just released 3 gins in June, World Gin Day. How did you do it? How did you market it? How did you develop it? How did you research it? That was all wonderful chat. 10 months later, yeah, we're still here, we're still going. But our whole process was back then was not to change our focus. You know, we can't change the world, we can only change what we deal within day to day. So Peppy and I really focused on, you know, where's the future? What do we need to do? We had a plan, you know, 2 years ago, and we said, let's just stick to it. Let's be conservative, you know, but let's stick to the plan. And that's what we did. So coming out of July, we decided that we needed some more help and staff and sales support. So we employed a new person in September. So that was part of one of our first things we wanted to make sure we did, and we did that, and that's working fantastically well. The gins had a great push up until Christmas. Sales were great up until Christmas. Everyone was drinking, which was fantastic. You know, we found that right through the industry. Even though we had no events, we normally do a number of events throughout Adelaide and Australia. They were all cancelled, so we really were relying on our retail sales, internet sales to boost the business. And that was great. We had sales going on all channels, which was making up for the lost ground in our events. So that was wonderful. New staff, and our plan was, as part of the plan 2 years ago, expand the cellar door, make more office space, and buy Frank. And Frank is our new still. It's a column and pot still, fully copperized. It's just about ready to be commissioned to be working to make our gins and our other spirits, which we're planning to do. We've contracted a new distiller. It was really the best distiller in South Australia with over 10 years of experience. He's working with us closely on a number of other products, and that's where we've come from. So as that time went by, Christmas came around, our plan was to renovate the bar, so we knocked down some of the offices, the bar, expanded it, made room, a viewing area for the new still. So that was all part of the plans. We spent over Christmas holidays when everyone else was on holidays. We were here day and night, Peppy, myself, and his uncle Frank. And that's who basically we named the still after. He's helped us for a number of years on all our renovations, and really wanted to honour him and say thank you for his help. That's where the name Frank came from. So we did that. So we wanted to make sure we had an open area, more space. We realised during COVID that number of restrictions. How do we get more people in the business? And that plan was, okay, let's bring it forward a bit. Let's get it done so we can get more people in the business with the restrictions on numbers, so we could grow our small experiences, our bar experiences. And we did that. Moved our staff in the office, made more room for the still at the back here with a viewing platform, painted our walls, and that was our next stage. And we've got one more stage to go of some more improvements, and that will happen most probably in the next 6 months or so, to make some more space.
What happens in 10 months?
Busy.
Lots of questions kind of bubbling out of that update, Nando, but my first one, and before I'll hand it over to James, is Frank behind us. What a magnificent piece of kit Frank is. Prior to that, you'd been contract distilling your gins. I guess I wanted to understand the thought process behind why. Why make a change like this? Why, in an interesting period, invest in something like this? What's the primary driver of that?
It was always in our plan to have our own still, but cash flow is one of the things. So you work out, okay, let's start small, develop some products. We develop 3, test the market, see how it goes before we outlay a lot of the cash to start. And it's quite a bit of research and development on, what's the right steel, where to get it from, all those sorts of things. So we were happy with our sales, happy where it was going, always knowing that to own our products, you've got to make your own products. So outsourcing, as many businesses, is where your starting point. You outsource, could be staff, could be machinery, processes, and we did outsource. And that was just a clever way of just keeping the thing bubbling over, keep the interest happening, and say, okay, we do want to have our own, be able to make our own products, not only gins, other spirits, and that was the whole procedure. Do we stop? Do we sit back on our hands for a period of time and let the industry keep running and while we're sitting down? No. So we think let's be forward thinking. Let's complement our business. Have a still that is what we want for the business, so we can grow it and keep running forward. And if we don't, someone's going to run over us, and that's really basically what we did.
Fantastic.
Can we talk about the decision-making process? You bought the business with Pep 8 years ago, roughly.
That's right.
At that point in time, when you bought the business, did you have a vision of, I think last time we spoke about product market fit, and you weren't a single product business. Can you speak about the decision-making process for the two of you, how you work, spending money on this, and these things aren't cheap, getting it into the country during a pandemic probably wasn't easy. How formal do you have that decision-making process? Do you go to other people and have a conversation to make sure that the two of you aren't sort of bouncing the same idea off each other and getting comfortable that you think you're on the right track and no one else is challenging you? So what is that decision-making process?
Great question. That is tough for small business partnerships, because we always have lots of ideas and thoughts and how to make things happen, and not always they're correct. So the process is that we find what works for Pepe and I is that we can talk over the phone, we can email. Really, we find our best way of making decisions is one-to-one. We'll sit and talk, we'll walk and have a coffee, clear our heads and really just chew things over, and then a week later we'll chew it through again, and we might ask someone around us, what do you think of this idea, or where we're going? And it's always good to get some feedback, but it also can actually distort your decisions because everyone has a different view than you and can see it differently than you, and you've got to be careful about that side of it. So we just sort of, and we would normally just do a bit more market research and say, well, where is other people going? What are they doing? What's the leaders doing? And where should we sit in that field? So we find time alone, quiet. Previously, we always go away over interstate and do our trade shows, and we sit down and just really get away. We find clearing our head is, when you're in the business, it's really hard. There's so much going on. But you get away from interstate, you're in a quiet room, in a bar, in a hotel room, whatever it is, and you're away from things. And we make our best decisions on the road. The amount of decisions we've made on the road just because just the clarity is there about being away, not having your phones, your family, all those things. And now ideas will bubble over and we'll go to the next event, and we just keep using that. It seems to work, maybe not for everybody, but clarity is what we try and aim for.
So how many of those decisions in your business, and two of you, two shareholders fundamentally, two decision makers, you're more hands-on. I think you probably hear more often.
Yeah.
But your decision-making discussions are taking place out of here anyway. So here you're running the place, you're making sure the day-to-day is okay, you've got a team doing the work already.
Yes.
When you have those off-sites, when you have those walking and talking discussions, are you reflecting on a formal business case that one of you's put together, say, here's our market research, here are the numbers, here's what we're thinking, or are you going off what you know, because you know the business so well anyway, that you don't need to go through a more formal process?
Oh, look, Peppy and I don't. We don't have a formal process. We had it initially, and then from there on in, it's really been just intuition, and look at the numbers, look at the research. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done, and everyone has a different methodology, and I respect either way, because you do need to have some sort of background.
Yeah. But 8 years in, you know the business pretty well.
Yeah.
But you're still going to more formal, maybe not formal, external third-party market research.
Yes.
But you're still going, you're doing your research, you're going to trade shows.
Yes.
Your decision-making is grounded on fact and then guided by your intuition.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very true. So you need to have the combination of both, because what we believe in and what we think is not always what the market requires. And we've made that mistake before. And what I like is not something what the market likes. So you've got to be mindful, and the beauty of trade shows and events is that you'll hear from the public who are unbiased, who have no connection to the business, and they'll tell you pretty raw what they think about you and your products, and like it or lump it, that's how it is. It's the best market research you'll get. You can't pay for that. So, and giving birth to our babies is, no one wants to hear our babies don't look really nice, but it does happen. And that's part of research.
We spoke with Mick from Moo Premium Foods the other day, and we were talking to him, he's in the yogurt business, about how quickly consumer palates can sort of change. And you spoke to us 10 months ago, about how, a few people had said, oh, we think you're late to the gin market. And you said, no, I don't think we are. We're going to put 3 out into the world. We could potentially see that expanding down the track. 10 months down the track, how are you feeling about that decision to get into this space? Is it proving to have a longer tail than those naysayers were talking?
Absolutely. And I think if you're going into a gin business only, starting from scratch to 10 months ago today, it's a tough call. And it's competitive. You'd have to really understand your business and your product and your market to succeed. Us being Ambra Spirits have a long history. We're not relying on gin as our core sales. It is an add-on to the business, and it has added on to the business. So we're very happy where it's come from. We're learning lots. We're going to improve it. We're going to make sure that we our next range of products. And we talked about having 3, 4, 5, 6 gins. We will. Within the next 3 to 4 months, we have a list of things that will come out, and they will be gins. They will be spirits. Quite unique things, unique to Ambra and unique to the market. And I think the whole thing is that if we look at the market research, is that you have to be different, especially in that space, because if you're just a plain looking, nicely flavoured gin, you're up against it. So I see competitors only recently, even big international companies, going into things that I thought that's where we are. They're already doing it. Because they know that's where the market is. And if the big ones are doing it, who've got an enormous amount of market research, we're on the right track.
Thanks for the segue. It was perfectly timed.
It scares me when you walk off camera mid-shoot.
What I'm curious about, you talk about differentiation and expanding product lines, and I don't know the background on this, so we've got 2 bottles, and the Ambra bottles are quite unique anyway. So they are a standout, so you walk into a retailer and these things do stand out. To me, that looks like the same product. You've got same bottles. Is it the same product? And if it's not, what's the labelling? What's differentiation? How do you drive that?
Great question again, James. Is that that was part of our market research and development. We had a blood orange liqueur, which you're holding in your right hand. Blood orange liqueur. We knew we wanted to have a blood orange gin. Was there going to be confusion? Yeah, there is slightly, sometimes there is a little bit of confusion if they are in the same place at the same time. But the idea was to have a label which contrasts and is unique to a gin, and one's unique to a liqueur. And that's really the complement to the difference that we try to create. Otherwise, it wouldn't quite work. So we're happy where it sits. They're 2 completely different products in profile and taste. but visually there is some similarities. And keeping the same bottles throughout our product range can create those issues. And that's something we always look at is, you know, how do we make this product stand out from the rest of ours? And not that they're always going to be in the same line, but you've got to be mindful of that.
When you go to a bottle shop, one of the things, and bars are the same, right? So bars, pubs can be quite challenging to get shelf space. And there are some bottles and spirit bottles that are quite wide, yours is quite tall. Does the shape of that bottle have any impact on the shelf space you get? Is it too tall to go on in some pubs? Do you ever have a feedback about that, or is it so unique, never been an issue, and so you can just push on with that shape?
You know, it's never been an issue with size or shape in shelf space. No, absolutely not.
Okay. So
it's not a typical gin or spirits bottle.
No.
So visually,
like it, right? Nothing else like
visually it doesn't look right to the market. Excuse me, but size-wise, there is no issues.
So it stands out, because lots of other bottles look very similar. It's like one of the challenges of the wine industry is just about every wine bottle looks the same. So it becomes, how do you get your 4 sort of 12 square centimetres of space, and that label will be a bit different.
Yep.
Here, you can spot an Ambra bottle from 30 feet away.
Yes.
I'm guessing that's quite advantageous.
Yes, and that was part of our market research and work, and when we developed the gin and other spirits, is do we change the look of the bottle? Is that part of, you know, do we change the look of the bottle for every different gin, vodka, and others?
Whatever else is coming down.
So the decision, after lots of decisions and thought process, it was no.
Yeah. Okay.
I can only imagine the marketing team at Galliano when they came out with their bottle back in the day.
Yeah.
No way knowing that's going to fit on a shelf, and look at it today.
Somehow make it work.
Nando, I'm really fascinated. Perhaps my last kind of question around where the business is going is South Australian Distillery Trail. We're in Australian Made Week, and so it's terrific to be here kind of sampling and talking about local Australian made product. Within South Australia, the distillery industry has kind of banded together and created a trail, go around to different distillers, really as a whole of industry support mechanism. I'm really interested in the frenemy component of that, to borrow one of my kids' words. We are competitors, but we also need to work together. We need to support one another, but I'm trying to take market share from you at the same time. How do you navigate that? How do you practically sort of deal with that kind of challenging relationship?
Yeah, it's a great question. Firstly, the trail is a great incentive is to do with all the members that are part of the distillery trail in South Australia. So have a look at it, follow it through. You can come to many distilleries, cellar doors, which have stills and products you can buy and support local business. So getting back to, yes, we are a member of the South Australian Distillery Association, and there's members in there which we compete against. And that is in business, that's been different for me, because in other businesses, you don't talk to your competitors. You don't know, but as a small industry, if we don't work together, we're on our own. And that's something that was challenging for most of us, especially being in business, because you don't want to talk to your competitor. But the idea is, if you work together and play together, you can grow together. More of you together is the bigger impact you can make. On my own, I can only make impact so much. But if I have 20 of me in a group, voices,
expandable pie.
Yeah, expandable pie. And we found that with the excise tax that just got released. If I tried to fight it on my own, we'd still be fighting 10 years later. But as an association, they fought and got a result within a couple of years, which is a fantastic result. So I think, yes, it is about being together. We're all there to have some fun. We talk about our businesses and learn from each other, because we're all going through the same things. We have the same problems with distribution, bottling, labelling, raw material issues. We all have the same problems. And we have a forum which we actually talk about. And we have people put close up when you've got something, can you help me with this? And you make a suggestion. And we don't have to, but it's about being together, South Australians. And we help each other.
Fantastic.
It shows a different mindset in an industry that's emerging as opposed to one that's established. Right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't see the 4 bank CEOs talking about this sort of stuff. But here, your challenges are not taking, I guess, market share from each other. It's taking market share from either other products, whether it's online or something else, or from one of the gins that's a global gin business that's been on one of the 4 or 5 on the shelf for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So your competitors are quite different to the distillery that's in the book that's a kilometre away.
That is true.
It's a very different mindset.
Yeah, they're different mindset because we are challenged by the international players, and that's from spirits, wines, other beverages. So it's us against the big guys, and that's what we like. Because on our own, we can't fight the big guy, David and Goliath, but as many, we have a better challenge to grow and learn. And what it is, you learn from each other, you help each other. Keeping it all to yourself, there's no rich hermit. You've got to be.
It's a great way to finish that. Nando, it's really exciting to come back in here 10 months later and see, the evolution of the business, the success, and proving some of those early naysayers wrong. That there's life in this market, there's opportunity in this market, and if you're willing to continue to be brave, continue to listen to the customer, and keep the customer at heart when you're making decisions around this. Investments in Frank back here as well. He is a beast, Nando. Really exciting. We're super pleased to see your continued growth. If you want to come down and experience Ambra, you're still doing your live music is it on the weekends?
Yes, every Sunday's live music. Once a month we have Ambra Experiences, and with live music and food vans as well. And you get a tour. You get a tour to see the whole process and how the business works.
For those interstate, website sales.
Yeah, website sales.
With recipes.
Yes, recipes are all
for that.
Absolutely.
That is just a cracker sort of winter afternoon type of drink.
It is.
Very easy to drink, settling, soothing. Put your feet up.
I recommend maybe put the recipe online.
Nando singing a song at the end of a long day. Nando, we're really grateful to you. Congratulations on your success. Thanks for sharing some business wisdom as well with our group as well. James, as always, thank you for your insights. If you'd like to join us on the advisory deck, we do go out on location. We do serve as advisors to a bucket load of businesses. Just get in touch. Details down the bottom here, and jump online and have a look at Ambra's offerings. They really are a terrific business. Here's cheers, boys.
Cheers, boys. All the best.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us on the advisory deck.
Cheers.